Pensioners are feeling more ill and depressed after Labour's winter fuel payment cuts, according to new polling. The survey conducted by trade union Unite of almost 6,000 of its retired members found 2/3 have turned down the heating this year due to the controversial policy. 1 in 4 said they were feeling more depressed, stressed or anxious, while 18% said they have become ill or their symptoms have worsened. Some 16% said they have cut back on the number of hot meals they eat, while 11% have felt hungry more often. Around a third are taking fewer baths or showers, and 16% are relying on public places to keep warm. Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham said, "Our survey shows that pensioners are suffering real-life effects of this needless cut to winter fuel allowance. They are shivering at home, having to go without bathing or without meals. Retirees should be able to live with dignity after a lifetime of work. Instead of picking the pocket of pensioners, the government should be looking at a wealth tax that targets the very richest in society." The poll comes as Unite is set to stage a protest in Westminster today against the policy of restricting the winter fuel allowance to only those on pension credit. The union, which has launched legal action in a bid to overturn the acts, will drop a banner from Westminster Bridge as part of the demonstration. It comes as the Labour government has faced an ongoing backlash for stripping around 10 million OAPs of the previously universal payments. Ministers blamed a £22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the Tories, which they have denied. But the move has been widely condemned by charities, opposition parties, unions and some Labour politicians. The Daily Express has demanded that Chancellor Rachel Reeves reinstates the payments of up to £300 a year to all pensioners. A government spokesperson said, "We do not want to see anyone suffering this winter. Which is why we have continued the warm home discount and extended the household support fund, which will help with the cost of food, heating and bills. We are committed to supporting pensioners, with millions set to see their state pension rise by up to £1,900 this Parliament through our commitment to the triple lock." In addition, in November Energy UK, in collaboration with the government, published a winter 2024 commitment which promises £500 million of industry support to bill payers this winter. Here is a summary of internet users' reactions. There were better ways to implement the way the payment was being paid to pensioners. In the interim, for at least the first year, they could have taxed the payment, and people like me would have had to pay income tax on the payment. That at least would have given those who really needed it the time to plan ahead and possibly apply for pension credit, etc. I have a company pension, so I'm not in desperate need, like many OAPs. Then, in the second year, the majority of those in need could have been sorted out, and people like me have the payment removed completely. Using the shotgun approach has put hundreds of thousands of OAPs on the breadline, and trust me, they, and I, won't forget that. Yesterday Labour pledged more money. They keep saying we haven't got any money but seem to find it to give to other countries. I think most people have made cutbacks. The WFA just made it a certainty. Even people who have private pensions have stopped using tumble dryers, dishwashers and turned down their heating. They have to shop more wisely, and looking in the supermarket the other day the prices have increased, unless on special offers/prices. Given our circumstances, according to Rachel Reeves, we should be putting the UK first. Labour want to take more money from us. At this rate we won't be able to afford anything at all. We can't put in expense and claim costs like the MPs can, so they are living in an unreal world. Labour should base their actions on the majority of the UK, not the minority, which is what is currently happening. And means testing the state pension will just cause more misery for people and would be costly to put in place. I don't get the full state pension as it is. A number of changes must take place, in particular moving responsibility for care and support for the elderly to their families and away from the taxpayer-funded welfare state. The state age-related benefit, it's not a pension, should return to being a social security backstop and not a universal income, which will probably result in it being means-tested, which is precisely what should happen. It is an non-contributory handout that the elderly get and should be targeted to where it is genuinely needed and not just to where people simply want it, as is presently the case. Means testing the WFA was exactly the right thing to have been done. The WFA was actually introduced by Blair as a gimmick and to attract votes. It should not have been. Net zero and low-skilled uncontrolled immigration, most not even working, are the unnecessary factors that are bankrupting the country. Watching while our industries relocate, our children being abused and constantly being confronted with the idea that somehow it's all our fault is destroying the morale of the whole country. The British people have nothing to be ashamed of, but on top of everything else, that additional burden is added. We are ashamed of our governments of the last 30 years though. Never has there been such a concerted effort to ignore the needs and aspirations of the British people in favour of virtue-signalling nonsense like net zero and allowing in people to take advantage of our weakness and timidity. If we don't stand up for ourselves, the future is just more and more stifling control of what we eat, how and where we travel, how much we can spend and on what. Power cuts will become commonplace in this grim future. The power grid is already creaking. We do have some hope though. Across the pond the US has woken up and are showing the world how it is possible to break the grip of the socialist/communist stranglehold. Trump, so nearly assassinated twice, is a beacon of light we can all benefit from. I have cut back to a small bowl of porridge and a small hot meal at night. Many others are doing the same. I do keep active dog walking and shopping. Heating is on the lowest setting possible on the boiler. Others are worse off, but it shouldn't be. This government over the past week or so has given away £37 billion to other countries. What is wrong with these people? Where is the £22 billion black hole they keep banging on about? They seemingly have loads of cash to splash around, which is of no benefit to the people of UK. Also, don't forget it's working people's parents, grandparents and even great-grandparents that are suffering from Reeves from Reception's draconian WFA cut. Reeves is way out of her depth. It was a very cruel move by her. She did admit that she didn't like doing it, as her parents also lost the WFA. Then she went on to say they both had good jobs with good private pensions. I think her father was a head teacher. Not all of us are so lucky. Single people suffer the worst. Pensioners, especially why older ones that are on the lower pension, had to work much harder for what they get. Also 40-50 years to get it. They didn't get the chance to pease into a private pension. Thousands also fought in the Second World War to give us the freedom we have now. I think they should be given more respect and not berated like some do. It was a pension until the government decided to change it some years ago. Those that do berate them and say they deserve nothing should hang their heads in shame. I suppose we can't expect someone who has admitted that finds it difficult to survive on £85,000 PA plus her husband's £100,000 or more, to have the faintest understanding of how desperate it is for many people to really survive to the point of not eating enough, feeling ill and being constantly cold and with no way of ever improving their lot. It's all very well saying that pensions will increase next year, which all fine and dandy for those who make to next year, and let's be honest, it is not a real increase in pensions, giving pensioners additional spending power, but merely keeping up with inflation, and even it's 12 months in arrears. Reeves and the whole of Labour should be ashamed, very ashamed.